Ladies and gentlemen, life, my friends, is filled with uncertainty. Every day we face trials, challenges, and fears that seem too overwhelming to overcome. The weight of the world can feel crushing, and in those moments it's easy to become anxious. But I stand before you today with a message of hope. A message that no matter what you're going through, you don't have to carry that burden alone. It is a natural part of the human experience to worry. We worry about our health, our families, our jobs, our finances. Sometimes it feels like there's a never-ending list of things to fear. But I want to remind you today that worrying does not change anything. It does not add a single moment to your life, nor does it alter the outcome of a single situation. Worrying, in fact, only robs us of our peace, our joy, and our ability to move forward. In the face of our worries, it's easy to forget that there is a greater power at work in our lives. There is a force that holds the universe together, a force that knows us better than we know ourselves. And this force is looking out for you, even when you can't see it or understand it. We often try to control our circumstances, thinking that if we just plan hard enough, worry long enough, or try just a little bit more, we can shape the outcome. But the truth is, there are many things in life beyond our control: our health, the future of our loved ones, the changing tides of life. These things cannot be manipulated by our own hands, and yet there is peace in realizing that we don't have to carry that weight alone. We can release our fears and let go of the burdens that we were never meant to bear. When you face hardship, when you feel like you are standing at the edge of the storm, remember that you are not alone. You are part of a greater story, a story that began long before you were born and will continue long after you're gone. That story is one of provision, one of care, one of strength in the midst of weakness. It's easy to focus on the size of the problem in front of us and forget the greatness of the source of our help. Your circumstances, however difficult they may seem today, are not the final word. There is a force beyond what you can see, and this force is good, kind, and ready to bring you the strength you need to keep moving forward. We all face moments when the road ahead seems impossible, but it is in those very moments that we have the opportunity to surrender our worries, to lay them down and trust that something greater than ourselves is at work in our lives. So do not worry. Do not let the weight of the world keep you up at night. Release your fears and know that everything you need is already being taken care of. You are not alone. The same hands that shape the stars are at work in your life, guiding you, comforting you, and ensuring that in the end, you will be okay. Worrying is unproductive. Worry does not change outcomes or add anything positive to our lives. It only steals our peace and joy. We are not alone. No matter the struggles we face, we are part of a bigger plan, and there is a higher power watching over and guiding us. We can't control everything. There are many aspects of life that are beyond our control, and trying to manipulate every situation only increases our anxiety. Peace through surrender, by letting go of our worries and trusting in something greater than ourselves, we can find peace and strength to move forward. Strength in hardship. In moments of difficulty, we have the opportunity to trust that we will be provided for and supported, no matter how impossible the road ahead seems. Worrying is something that we all experience. It's part of being human. Every one of us has felt the grip of anxiety at some point in our lives. We worry about our health, our future, our families, our careers, and the unknowns that lie ahead. These concerns can sometimes consume us. The worry grows bigger in our minds, twisting and turning until it feels like it's the only thing we can think about. It takes up our mental energy, our emotional strength, and even affects our physical well-being. But here's the hard truth. Worry does nothing to solve the problem. In fact, worrying can make things worse. It amplifies our fears, making them seem larger than life. When we focus on the what ifs, we become paralyzed by the possibility of failure, loss, or pain. But none of these imagined outcomes have happened yet. Worry magnifies the fear of an unknown future, and yet the future is rarely as bad as we expect it to be. We waste so much of our time stressing over things that might never come to pass. We build up scenarios in our minds that are filled with dread, but in reality, many of those fears don't materialize. Worry doesn't change the outcome of any situation. It doesn't add more time to our day or more hours to our lives. It doesn't give us control over what's happening or make a tough situation easier to bear. In fact, research has shown that chronic worry can negatively impact our health, causing stress illnesses, sleepless nights, and even a weakened immune system. We're not only wasting our time and energy on worry, but we are also harming ourselves physically in the process. Instead of solving problems, worrying simply creates more problems. It can take away our joy, robbing us of the ability to appreciate the present moment. We become so consumed with what might happen in the future that we miss the beauty of what's happening right now. Worry steals our focus and drains our mental and emotional resources, leaving us exhausted, anxious, and unsettled. And what happens when we are in that state of constant worry? We are less equipped to handle whatever life throws at us. We become less resilient and more prone to despair because our energy is spent on things that we cannot control. The irony is that most of the things we worry about are completely out of our hands. We cannot control the future. We cannot control what other people do or the challenges that come our way. Life is unpredictable, and trying to foresee every twist and turn is like trying to catch the wind. No matter how tightly we grip, we cannot hold on to it. The only thing we truly have control over is how we respond to the circumstances in front of us. And when we choose to respond with worry, we allow ourselves to be overwhelmed and defeated before we've even begun. What if we chose a different path? What if, instead of letting worry control us, we decided to let go of the need to anticipate every possibility? What if we acknowledge that while life is uncertain, we don't have to carry the burden of figuring it all out? It's easy to get caught up in the endless cycle of worry, but the truth is, we are not meant to carry that weight. Worry doesn't add anything valuable to our lives. It only holds us back from experiencing peace and contentment. In times of struggle, it can often feel as though we are completely alone. The weight of our problems, the pain we experience, and the uncertainty of life can make us feel isolated. We look around and wonder if anyone truly understands what we're going through, and sometimes it seems like no one does. But this feeling of loneliness, while real, is also a misperception. We are not alone in our journey through life. There is a greater presence at work, something far beyond our understanding, guiding us, supporting us, and caring for us, even when we feel the distance of isolation. It is easy to forget this when the pressures of life mount, when the burdens become too heavy, and when the challenges seem insurmountable. In these moments, it's crucial to remember that we are part of something much larger than ourselves, a greater plan that stretches across time and space, far beyond our own individual lives. When we face adversity, it often seems like there is no way out. We become so fixated on the difficulty in front of us that we cannot see beyond it. The weight of our worries can cloud our vision, making it feel like there is no help, no way forward, no one who cares. But this is not the truth. Even in the darkest moments, we are being cared for, guided, and loved in ways that we may not always be able to see. There are times in life when we must trust, even when we cannot see the path ahead. Just as a seed in the ground trusts that it will grow into something beautiful, we must trust that, even in our trials, we are being shaped, refined, and strengthened. And just as the seed is not alone in its journey, neither are we. There is a presence, a force that surrounds us, that ensures we are never truly left to face life's challenges by ourselves. This presence doesn't always intervene in the ways we expect or demand. We may not always see the immediate answers to our problems, nor do things always unfold according to our timeline. But this does not mean that we are left without help. There is an unseen hand at work in the fabric of our lives, providing for us in ways we might not immediately understand. This presence is steady, unwavering, and always working in the background, even when we are unaware. In our moments of weakness, when we feel we cannot carry on, we must remember that we are not carrying our burdens alone. There is something greater than our circumstances, something that will never leave us, never forsake us. We are surrounded by a love, a strength, and a peace that we may not always recognize, but that is always there. And it is this presence that enables us to keep moving forward, step by step, even when the road ahead seems impossible. We can find comfort in knowing that we are not walking this path alone. There are countless aspects of life that are simply beyond our control. No matter how hard we try, no matter how much effort we put in, we cannot control the future, the actions of others, or the unpredictable nature of life itself. The reality is, there are countless things that can happen. Some of them we expect, others we never saw coming. And trying to control these outcomes often leads to frustration and anxiety. It's natural for us to want control. We feel safer when we believe we can manage our lives and the situations we face. It gives us a sense of security, as if we are steering our own ship. But in truth, the more we try to control every aspect of life, the more we begin to drown in our own anxieties. We cannot control the economy, the weather, or the choices of those around us. We cannot predict how life's circumstances will unfold, no matter how much we try to plan, prepare, and strategize. Every day brings new surprises, both good and bad. And while we can make decisions, we cannot dictate every outcome. Trying to control the uncontrollable only sets us up for disappointment, because life does not operate on our terms. Instead of surrendering to the unknown, many of us fight against it. We try to control situations, control people, and control outcomes, believing that if we just push harder, we can make things turn out the way we want. But this constant battle against the unknown is exhausting. It leaves us worn out, anxious, and unable to enjoy the present. We spend so much of our energy trying to make things happen exactly how we envision them, and when things inevitably don't go according to plan, we feel defeated. However, true peace and strength come when we acknowledge that we cannot control everything. There is freedom in letting go of the need to control every detail of our lives. When we accept that there are things beyond our ability to influence, we release ourselves from the exhausting pressure of trying to make everything fit within our limited understanding. We stop trying to micromanage our circumstances and start trusting that, even when we don't know what lies ahead, things will unfold as they are meant to. In moments of uncertainty, we often panic, thinking that if we don't control everything, we will lose our way. But it is precisely in those moments that we learn to trust. We learn that it is not about our control over situations, but about how we respond to them. It is about knowing that even when life doesn't go according to our plans, there is still purpose in the chaos. We can choose to let go of the illusion of control and instead embrace the fact that we are not alone in navigating life's challenges. There is a larger force at work that understands far more than we ever could, and this force is guiding us through the unexpected twists and turns. By surrendering the need to control, we create space for peace to enter our lives. We realize that there is so much more to life than trying to dictate every step. The unknown, though unsettling, is not something to fear. It is part of the adventure of life. When we stop fighting against what we cannot control, we begin to experience the freedom that comes from trust, surrender, and acceptance. There comes a point in every person's life when the weight of worry, stress, and fear becomes too much to bear. In those moments, it can feel as though we are standing alone in the storm, with no shelter, no protection, and no way out. We may try to carry the burden ourselves, gritting our teeth and pushing through, but the truth is that we are not meant to shoulder the weight of our fears alone. When we choose to let go of our worries and trust in something greater than ourselves, we unlock a peace that surpasses understanding, a peace that can carry us through even the darkest of times. Letting go of our worries doesn't mean that we ignore the difficulties we face or pretend that everything is okay when it's not. It doesn't mean that we stop caring or become indifferent to the challenges that come our way. Rather, it is about acknowledging that, despite our best efforts, there are things we cannot control. It is about recognizing that we don't have to face our struggles alone, and that there is help, strength, and guidance available to us, even when we feel overwhelmed. When we let go of worry, we make space for trust. We trust that, even when things don't make sense, there is a purpose behind the events that unfold in our lives. We trust that, even in the midst of hardship, there is a plan in motion, one that we may not fully understand, but can choose to believe in. Trust doesn't always come easily, especially when we feel vulnerable and afraid. But when we release our anxieties and place our concerns in the hands of something greater, we free ourselves from the burden of having to control every detail. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, it is an act of courage. It takes strength to acknowledge that we don't have all the answers, and it takes humility to release our need to manage every situation. When we hold on to our worries, we are clinging to something that only weighs us down, something that we cannot change. But when we let go of that weight, we allow ourselves the freedom to move forward with faith and confidence, knowing that we are not alone in our struggles. In the moments when we feel like we can't go on, we must remind ourselves that we don't have to carry the burden of fear, anxiety, or uncertainty. We don't have to shoulder that load alone. By letting go of our worries, we open ourselves up to a peace that transcends our understanding. We allow ourselves to be guided by something greater than our own limitations. When we surrender our fears, our doubts, and our anxieties, we experience a sense of calm that can't be found in our own striving. It is a peace that doesn't depend on our circumstances, but on our ability to trust that everything we need is already being taken care of. By choosing to let go of worry, we make room for the strength, hope, and resilience that will carry us through the storms of life. And in that peace, we find the courage to face whatever comes our way with the assurance that we are not alone. Life is not without its challenges. There will be times when we are faced with obstacles that seem insurmountable, when the path ahead appears too difficult to travel. In those moments, we may feel as though we are standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure of how to move forward. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and discouraged, to think that the difficulty of the situation is too much to bear. But it is in those very moments when we feel the weakest that we have an opportunity to experience strength like never before. True strength doesn't come from avoiding hardship or being free from struggles. It comes from the ability to persevere, to keep moving forward even when the road is tough. Strength is not defined by how easy life is, but by how we respond to the trials we face. And in the midst of hardship, we don't have to rely solely on our own strength. There is a greater force at work in our lives that sustains us, that provides the strength we need when we feel like we can't go on.